Hello and welcome to the session on attributes or variables defined for a class. If you look at the picture on the right, you can see that we have a class called network device. Associated with the entire class is a variable called node type. This is shared by all objects that will be created. For every individual object instance, it has its own data. So in the example, iOS XRV1 has its own attributes for IP address and OS type, as does iOS XRV2 and iOS XRV3. How might this look in the actual code? In Python, you define a class using the class keyword, class network device, and then begins the definition of the class. You can see our static class variable defined as node type at the very beginning of the class. After that, we see functions or methods, one called init, one called setCredentials. Within those functions, we are defining our own attributes that are appropriate for the class. These are the class attributes that are specific to every single object instance. So every object instance is going to have an IP address and an OS type. Not shown in the picture, but shown in the code, is that every object instance also will have its own username and password. The way that you distinguish class-wide variables, which would be called class attributes, such as node type, from object-specific variables or attributes, such as IP address and OS type, is that object-specific variables will be preceded by the self keyword. The self attribute is going to be used to define IP address as well as OS type. So whenever you're referring to a variable which is going to be specific to every single object, you will use self. And as you see in the example code, in both of the functions or methods, self is the very first parameter passed to it.